Wow. All right. Welcome to the, what is it? Third. This is going to be third. Okay.
Third episode.
Welcome to the third episode of the Metamorphosis podcast with
Am,
Noe,
and Mom.
beautiful Mom. Make sure I don't yell. I keep messing with the audio. How you feeling?
Great! Oh, so excited!
Yeah. So, we'll just start. Metamorphosis. What do you think of the name, Mom?
Oh my goodness, it gives me goosebumps and chills just for what it represents and stands. And as I think about it, for me, it's a journey of lifelong learning and living.
Yeah.
And evolving.
Yeah.
Love
What was
it.
your first reaction when we told you? I don't even.
I remember
when
the
was
call.
it?
I remember the call.
Honestly, awestruck. Like,
Surpassed your
that
expectations.
is just the most perfect, incredible description of our lives for the last 10 years,
I know.
probably.
Yeah.
If
That's
not
actually so
more.
true. All of us.
All of us.
All of us
All
are on
of
the
us.
journey.
Yeah,
That's
I
a good
do
point.
remember, and I got feedback from a few other people. She's like, it's a little long, like it's a mouthful, but it is true. Like metamorphosis, there's 5 syllables.
Metamorphosis. Oh,
5 syllables.
I did
But-
that too.
Oh,
But I think it's
Well, can I tell you something? Try and think of a better name, which you know
Yeah,
I would do.
exactly.
and
It'll
we,
happen.
we even tried to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for something like
gave it a
this.
chance, yeah.
And when you have the bar set that high,
Yeah.
there's not much
Yeah.
else, nowhere
But
else
also,
to go.
like-
So way to go, no!
Yeah. That was all knowing.
Well, it was the universe. Yeah.
Well,
The universe.
that's the first time you've just not taken credit.
Girl, I always say it's the
You always
universe.
credit the
I literally
universe.
say, I'm like,
That's
it hit me like a bag of bricks.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, like, when we say it like that, like metamorphosis, no one's gonna say it like that. It's metamorphosis.
It's how you say
And
it,
that's
you
like
say
a
it,
fast
yeah.
food.
Well,
But anyways.
I almost want to put another variation out there. Metamorphosis.
Oh, mama's
Something
take.
like metamorphosis.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you saw how we
Yeah.
wrote it.
That's
Metamorphosis.
why.
Well, we could try different variations.
Metamorphosis.
I was even thinking of
Yes.
a short form, like, because like Meta, but like there's Meta, it's like Facebook, the company. But speaking of which, because in terms of a short form name, we haven't talked about this yet. But so obviously our symbol is the butterfly that you saw. That again came to us in the most beautiful way. But then was it you or KJ? I think.
No, I think it was me.
No, because she said what. Or anyways.
Okay, maybe it was KJ.
I just got rid of it. But wait 1 second.
While Noe's looking that up, if you guys have any incredible ways of how to say this metamorphosis, let them know.
Yeah.
So, someone said, what's a group of butterflies called? Because we have such a beautiful community. All of you beautiful people that join our lives, that watch our TikToks, our Instagram, our
Always
YouTube.
showering us with love and
Showering us
support.
with love. We're all a group. We're a little community. So what we were thinking is like,
We're a family.
yes, Mom. We're a group of butterflies. We're all a group of butterflies. So we're like, what's a group of butterflies called? Like, a group of birds, it's a flock of birds. I can't think of any other examples, but like a lot of animals when they group together.
Swarm of flies.
Swarm of flies.
Swarm of bees.
You know what I mean? But like, so, you ready? Butterflies flying in a group are often referred to as a kaleidoscope.
Oh!
Just wait. I knew she was gonna. You ready, Mom? Due to their many beautiful colors. Mom.
That's us!
Mom.
That's us!
Like,
Isn't
we're a
that
kaleidoscope
perfect?
because we're all different, beautiful colors. We play with all the colors in the rainbow. And like everyone, it's just, that's our whole message.
Differences.
Embracing your
Celebrate it
differences.
for the differences.
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
Yeah.
how beautiful is
I
that?
love that. I love that. That's so beautiful. Of course, you know my brain is going crazy. How would I define a group of butterflies? So, on the spur of the moment, how I would describe a group of butterflies is, and thinking of all of you and us, it's a bonded family.
So cute.
That's what we are. A
Oh,
bonded family.
My
that flies
God.
together, soars together.
Yeah.
I just want to
Looks
say,
beautiful
as
together.
I was out downtown, because I'm from up north, Richmond Hill, and I saw a woman with a pride bag. And like I told you before, when I saw someone crossing the street with a pride shirt, I had to give my love. And so I popped out to say, I love your shirt. And she looked scared to death, like I told you, which broke my heart. But then when she realized what I actually said, the most glorious smile came on her face. And I wanted to say to the woman with the beautiful pride bag, like it was sort of shiny and
Yeah, I think I
glaring.
remember when you're.
And I wanted to say, I love your bag. And then I realized I could scare her to death.
Yeah.
So anytime we see one another, we're a bonded family
I love
because we are a metamorphosis,
We're
flying kaleidoscope group
Yeah.
of butterflies.
Mama G said it best.
Literally.
That was beautiful.
Oh my god, that's beautiful. Speaking of butterflies, the butterfly begins in the cocoon. So, and this is again, if anyone didn't know, our beautiful mother. There's so many things. You're going to be a recurring guest on the podcast. There's so many things that we want to talk about. Just your motherhood, how you raised us, our spirituality, your religion, and how we just all your faith is what I'll say. But for our first podcast with Mama on. Of course, our whole message is being queer representation, going against the grain. So maybe we'll focus on that for this podcast. So let's start at the
Most
beginning.
importantly, also you forgot the biggest one: spreading love.
No. Well, yes, but that's embedded in each of them. Like
Yeah.
our beautiful
But it's
motherhood
good.
is
It's
spreading
good to
love.
call
Our faith
it
is
out.
spreading love.
It's
That-
good
that's
to
what
call
we
it
should
out.
always say
Sorry,
what we
sorry,
can.
yes. Be yourself, spread love, do what makes you happy. That's our message. Morph into the real you.
And yeah, I have something to say on that, but I'll wait till you finish.
Go ahead.
Good job. I was gonna say, like,
Come on.
that's actually where it originated from. The whole spread love
Yeah.
is actually from this beautiful human over
Literally.
here, because Noe and I wouldn't have that to give had we not been showered
Yeah.
with that growing up.
You're
and
so
so
sweet.
the whole spread love message, this is the originator.
The originator. Well,
yeah.
Well, that's going to be a part of every podcast.
How
with
could
her.
you not with these two?
Oh,
How could you not?
you're so sweet.
You're so sweet. Well, you
Very
created us.
easy.
Oh my gosh.
You're so sweet.
Well, back at you. How could you not just fall in love with her? Anyone who meets her
Yeah.
immediately, like, that's my mom. So she's all of our Kaleidoscope's mom,
Yeah.
Mama G. Let's start at the beginning, just in light of our queer journey coming
Yep.
out, that whole experience, because that in itself was a metamorphosis, again, for all of us. And of course, whatever you feel comfortable talking about. Some of these things, actually, we probably never even talked to you about or asked, and so this will be an interesting conversation. So, starting from the beginning, even us growing up, I mean, I look at pictures of us growing up, we were little tomboys, we always wanted short hair. Did you ever have an idea, even before we came out to you? Was there ever a moment where you were like, like, the girls are a little different, maybe this, maybe that?
Okay, so my honest answer to that is when you were tiny little girls, never, ever,
Yeah.
ever.
Uh-huh.
When you were in high school, never, ever, ever. When you were in university, not really, until you came back and started dressing perhaps a little different. And then I might do the laundry and see male underwear in the laundry, knowing it's not from a guy because there was no boyfriends per se. So I'd be thinking, oh my gosh, why do they like male underwear? Look, it doesn't look comfortable. So
That's what KJ says all the time. She's like, are those comfortable? Because we wear boxers, and I'm like, you think a thong is comfortable?
oh well, I wore a thong,
Well, no, but
like
just
or like-
just anything other than like shorts,
Yeah.
like boxer shorts to me
It's
are
the
like
most
It's like you're wearing
comfortable.
spandex.
Yeah.
They
But anyways.
didn't look comfortable, so I just thought, like, why? And then some of the clothing,
Okay.
and then some of the looks. But I think you guys were so kind to me in hiding it. Well, until my last massive birthday celebration. Emmy was in a dress, and Noe probably didn't want to be in anything feminine, but for me, she came in pants that were wide and floral, and I knew that was hugely because of me. She really wanted to be in something more masculine, so that
Nice.
might have been a little inkling. But growing up, I was never in a lot of dresses or anything like that, unless we were going on a night on the town, because it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
To be honest.
There you go.
So I just thought,
Yeah.
that you were taking after me.
So you only had a small idea about me. You didn't.
Yes.
You didn't have.
That
That's
was
a
very
surprise.
good point. Never, ever, 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 ever did I ever think that of him.
And just a bit of a caveat background for those of you guys who don't know, Noe was the one that had the boyfriend.
Yeah.
I never once
Had a boyfriend.
had a boyfriend or brought home a guy or talked about a guy ever, but it's so interesting because
Well-
she, I guess, had the shorter hair or something, or what was it?
Because I'm very picky when it comes to choosing a partner, so I just thought both of you were
just
much
picky,
like me.
yeah.
But after Noelle went to school in America and I saw some of those text messages and things like that, which
We'll have
shocked
to
the
dive
living
into
daylights
those
out of
stories.
me.
Dive
Or
into that.
the arm on the lap while driving to a tournament. And I was like, why is your hand on her leg
What
for
she's
so
referring to is,
long?
yeah, me and a teammate in a road trip. We were in the back and she was next to us, and there was things going on, and yeah. Anyways. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Well,
so next question, follow up to that is like, how did you feel about that? Like, were you kind of just like
How did I feel
like
about
once
that?
you had those thoughts where you're like, oh, maybe they
Oh,
might be.
I just
what
thought,
were your
no.
kind of
I just
denying
immediately
right away?
thought, no, I don't believe they
Okay.
would ever be inclined to be that way because of me and Dad.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Well,
Really,
because of
really
you and
good.
Dad, because you both are straight, or because of your religion?
Because both of us are straight.
So that's so interesting. Because
Interesting.
I mean, that's like just on that note, just popped a thought in my head. Is like, that's what always makes me so, like when people say it's a choice, when people say, it's whatever, it's just like, we came from, obviously, two straight parents, two straight religious parents from two very separate religions that all we were exposed to, we went to Catholic high school. Like, it wasn't like we just saw huge examples of these and like, oh, I want to be like that. It's like, it came so deep from within us, and like, yeah. So,
Well, and I always would read these beautiful essays at school, from both of you, that would say, my mom's my hero. And so I just be like, wow, I'm beaming. And
Still
I thought,
true.
well,
Yeah.
they want to be a lot like me in many ways, including that. And watching how you grew up in
Yeah.
the house that you grew up, I guess I saw it from a different lens. I thought that you would want exactly that too.
yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, like, like, when you say that, like, a part of us probably still wanted that. Like, we look up to you, we see that life, and there's a process we have to go through of thinking, like, I want that, and I know that's going to make my parents happy and stuff, but for some reason, it's not feeling right.
It's not a desire.
That's the biggest
of
struggle,
ours,
is
yeah.
like, we did want it.
Yeah.
But and that's the message
You
to
know
people,
what?
is like,
I just want to say I'm so angry inside
Oh,
about the
aw.
fact, I'm so angry inside about the fact that I didn't stop to think, why do folks that aren't like, for example, a man loves a woman loves a man, like that? What causes that? What are there any issues with that? I never thought about, I just believed everything everybody else told me.
yeah.
Why I'm angry is we're pretty smart. We stop and question everything. Why not that?
Yeah. Well, I would say that just speaks to
Beautiful,
the
Mom.
beautiful person that you are, Mom, because now seeing how big your heart is, and I guess that comes from knowing it caused us a bit of pain, but you were doing your
Not
best.
just you, like all the
Anyone, yeah.
people.
Well,
Yeah,
but you got there. You're at the point where you're doing
Don't
that
be
now.
angry, Mom, because you didn't have that
Yeah.
intention. You weren't intentionally hating for a
Yeah.
reason. It was what you were told, and you blindly
Yeah.
believed. Blind faith is honestly like something I'd love to
Dangerous.
talk about, but it's dangerous because you're taught something and then you believe it, but you're never allowed to
Yeah.
question it. You probably didn't
No
even.
one ever makes you, it gives you that space. The
Yeah.
other thing I really want to throw out there is, what is even more crazy in my mind is, as I mentioned on your TikTok, I grew up with gay gentlemen that were my bosses who I loved.
Yeah.
I grew up in people who had offices beside me, male and female, who were gay, that I loved. I still can't understand that when it's my kids, it's so much harder to accept. I don't get it. And the only thing one of my girlfriends helped me understand is it's a mourning a loss. It's not in a negative way. It's you had a vision and a picture and a dream in your head for many years that you play over and over, and all of a sudden it disappears. And the shock of that is a lot to stomach and accept. And I'm still in shock that it took me years, never of hating, just learning how to understand how to let go of that and accept this.
Yes.
I think there was also just one thing, a little bit of a factor, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is like, as humans, being social beings, a factor of also what are others going to think of me? Because at that point, it's connected to you versus someone else living their own life. You say hi and bye and you move on. But it is then closer to you, and there is still a stigma around it in many communities. So like, it is understandable that, you know, it's also a worry of like, all right, well, I have to now take on this new persona as my kids are different and figure that out. So that's understandable, and it probably was factor.
You know what?
No.
I know we
It's okay.
say something, but I just want to say.
No, but girl, I just listen, like, because I feel like you're just dying to like reply. But...
Girl, I want to reply to things
I
a
know.
while back, but I'm just listening.
Okay.
So as you're talking, of course, my brain, I can't turn it off. It just jumps and says, "You're 100% right. It's what will others think," and you want a quick answer. So I'm looking for. What can I blame for that? What is that?
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
What is that? Like, what caused that? Well, another softer way to say it is, what caused that?
Yeah, like why?
Why did that happen? Did I make that happen? Did your dad make that happen? Did somebody else make that happen? Who can I blame? Because I like the little picture I painted in my head of our future, and that's totally wiped out for this time being. It could be forever, maybe it's not forever, who knows? No one knows. But like, what could I blame? Who could I blame? And then the real answer is there's nobody to blame, and if there were anybody, you would be the biggest person. That's hard.
Can I say something on that? Because that's what I wanted to say, and we talked about this a lot in our last podcast. And everything that's going on in the world right now with the trans protests. I don't know if you heard about that, and this whole thing of whether this should be taught or exposed in schools or not. What you're saying is it who to blame, you know, you weren't prepared to deal with that. We weren't even prepared growing up to understand what we were, how to process these emotions, these feelings, how to identify it. And that's why our whole stance on this is that this needs to be exposed and part of the curriculum in schools, just as heteronormativity is. If you have a little picture book, if all you have in that picture book for all the kids to learn is a mom and a dad, how do we feel? When I look at that, I'm like, I can't really relate to that. And that's the part to blame is a lack of education, a lack of exposure. And that is why this needs to be part of the education system. The education system is not, what does this parent agree with? What religion do they follow? How do they identify? And that's what should be taught in the school. There's a whole world of all different people that exist, all different beautiful colors of the rainbow. All of that needs to be taught in schools so that the kids, know how to process and identify themselves, and then those kids are going to be grown up to become parents maybe. And then they'll be the parents that understand it. And then it just becomes a natural part of society.
Well, even further, I love that you said it that way beautifully, even further than the kids learning to process and understand themselves, a step further than that is kids learning not to hate themselves. Because when you have different feelings and you feel like you're not feeling the same way that all your friends that are girls are like boys and all your friends that are boys like girls, but you're a girl and you like girls, and you start to have these feelings where you're like, I'm different. That is the purpose of having that education in school systems, because your parents might be from a religion that doesn't accept that. So all they're teaching you at home is it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. You should have that right to go somewhere else and be able to learn. I'm not going to hate myself because of what my parents said. I'm not wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. Because there isn't.
There isn't. You know, as I'm listening to you, I totally understand. I totally get it. I'm totally on side. I guess where I come from, the working world, the people that I've spoken to, the people that I talk to, language is a huge key.
Yeah.
So where it needs to be, and we need to show, and we need to, I guess all that kept running in my head, which I can't stop from thinking, is normalize what is reality.
Diversity.
Whatever your judgment is, love, hate, or other, normalize reality.
Yes, that's a
The
great way to
reality
put
of
it.
the
That's
situation is
beautiful.
this is out there.
Yeah. Whether
Doesn't
you like
matter
it or
if
not.
you like it or not, this is out there. But for another discussion, and maybe today or maybe on part 2 or what have you, who says this is wrong? I know you have your responses from people and this and that and the other. I would encourage and love, because we like looking into things and validating, and we're pretty darn good at it. What makes you think this is wrong? We got a long way to go for so many things. All of those things are normal and should be treated as normal. Everybody is equal. Everybody. Nobody's better than anybody else. Nobody needs to be on top of anybody else. So where you can show us proof that that's not the case, please bring it.
I love that, Mom.
That's beautiful.
That is so beautiful. And just like one thing to add, because we touched on it a little bit in our last podcast, but we went, because I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, the Catholic schools that have banned this from being part of the curriculum, or that's the stance they took. What boggles my mind is we went to a Catholic school, we were taught world religions. So, they are open to some exposure to other things that maybe they don't align with and don't agree with. So it's just like, what boggles my mind is like how this is not something very equivalent to that. And I love what you said is the reality of things. Whether you agree with it or not, there's millions of people that identify with the LGBTQ plus community in the world. How are you going to say we don't exist? So just identifying that something exists at school's purpose is to educate, not just with what everyone aligns with, educate on everything that exists. So anyways, that's the thoughts on that. Okay, let's take a step back, go back to the story. So you had a bit of an idea about me, no idea about Am.
Even though I had a bit of an idea about you, I'm just processing this now as we're speaking, I guess because of my dream. And this is the reality from one parent's perspective. There's no way on earth I'm letting go of that dream. So although I had clues and inklings, I'm still hanging on to my dream because it's a beautiful dream in my head. And to be honest with you, which is totally ridiculous and goes right back to what you said, that's what I've seen my whole life. A man is going to fall in love with these beautiful girls, sweep them off their feet. We're going to have the most beautiful, lavish wedding. I'm going to help you pick your dresses and da-da-da. And this is a picture, and it's going to be the most beautiful wedding, 100 times better than mine. This is my storyline in my head. So even though I get these clues, I'm still pushing this story. And I'm sure you felt it. I'm still pushing this story.
Oh my God.
I'm hinting at the... Do you remember when you told me, I just said, don't rule out loving men either. Because you might find... Yes!
I just want to share one really quick note, back to kind of the topic we were just talking about with that being said. I think that's a great example of why it's so important to have that education, because all you were taught, Disney movies, all the movies are glorifying a man falling in love with a woman in this beautiful story that like we all love to watch. Like I still love to watch it. But it's those subconscious programming that continues in your mind that you just only see it one way, and you're so tied to this one way where if you just, maybe switch the education to have it in multiple ways and people can kind of get more exposed to it, you can still have all of that. It's just going to be a person of different gender and maybe not a dress.
Yeah.
But other than that, big lavish wedding, the big love story can still happen. Yeah. It's just going to look a little different because you had an idea of what you wanted, but then the part I also want to emphasize for parents is like your kids should be able to have their idea and go with what makes them happy. And there's that difficulty of the parent, what makes the parent happy, what makes the kid happy. And, you know, they're both important, but I think the kid's happiness is the most important. That a lot of parents should try and, you know.
You know what, Anne? I watch reality television shows on TV, more like America's Got Talent, etc. I love that show. And what happens is these young people, sometimes as little as 10 and 12, come on, recently a singer, and you know immediately from looking at that young boy, he's not what the world considers the norm. A little bit more feminine, a little bit more dainty as he walks, and just behaves. And you feel kind of awkward looking at that because you're being taught that's wrong, that's wrong. That's what makes him happy.
Yeah.
The thing is that he had to be bullied and hated. Why should anybody have to go through that? No one taught him anything. He just felt
He's being himself.
good that way. And to watch him cry and to cry with him that he was made felt ugly and hated just for being himself, you should feel terrible for doing that to people. If you do that to people, how dare you? That's a human being who deserves love, and they're just being themselves. And for parents like me that put pressure to conform, I take that as ignorance, not looking for the right answer yourself, just blindly believing. Be very careful who you follow and who you listen to. Make sure it's a solid source.
Mom, that was beautiful. I got goosebumps listening to you say that, because that's exactly like that was us.
Beautiful.
And I think that's why it still doesn't, I can't wrap my head around it when people say it's a choice, because it is a harder life. Like right now, with the way the world is, it is a harder life. Like, you know, you have to question it. Are people gonna accept me or not? If I'm just born straight, just marry a man, like no one's hating on that. So why would someone choose a harder life? Like, it's very beautiful the way you said it. And at the end of the day, and that's why that's our message, be yourself. Do what makes you happy, as long as it's not harming anyone else.
As long as it's not harming anyone else. That's the biggest thing.
You know, maybe it might, let's just validate, it might be a choice for 2%, 10%, 50%, maybe. But for some, that boy on television, he's too young to intentionally choose that. For my children, why can't you believe that for some, of course I'm not talking to everybody, there's so many love people out there, family people out there. For those of you, for those that are saying it wasn't a choice, we were born this way, why can't you believe that?
Yeah.
But I just want to say one thing to that.
How can you hate if someone was born that way?
Yeah.
No, it will, exactly, but I would just argue, Mom, I don't think for anyone it's ever a choice. Even maybe what you're talking about is like bisexual people, if they're attracted to men and women, or pansexual, or anywhere in between. The thing is, you can attest to this, attraction is not a choice. Even if you're straight, you said no to a lot of guys, and you even said, you told us at least, you just said, you know, I'm going to be single my whole life. Maybe I'm not going to find someone who
Well, and you said,
yeah,
sorry.
So attraction is not a choice. So if maybe someone's bisexual or pansexual, and right now they're with a man, but then all of a sudden they fall in love with a woman, like, it's never a choice. And that's why we actually had a hater on our Instagram today, and I literally responded saying, like, because they were like, are you happy with the choice that you made? And I said, we're happy, but nothing was a choice, because being your true self is not a choice, and attraction is not a choice. So that's the only thing I would say is, I don't think for anyone it is a choice, but I do understand what you were saying.
Yeah, I totally am
Yeah.
transformed, metamorphosized into what you saying.
Well, I watch this guy on TikTok a lot. He does debates. He's a straight guy, and he debates people that come on to his live, and just why do you think it's wrong to be gay? And he just like goes back and forth. He's such an amazing debater, and I learned so much from him. Dean Withers.
I was just gonna say, but
Dean Withers. Yeah. Anyways, one big thing I learned, he literally, in such a beautiful way, can you choose to be attracted to the floor right now? Can you choose to be attracted to the wall? can you choose that? If you can actively choose, and he was even asking like straight men that were going back and forth, and he's like, if you had the choice right now, could you choose to be attracted to me? No, they can't.
Yeah.
So that just proves you can't choose it. Like you literally can't choose it. So but even a step further than that, let's say in your mind you think that's justified, people choose. Even if you believe that they can choose it, so what? Why does it
How does it
bother you?
affect you?
How does it affect you if someone's going and choosing whatever they want to do? Turn and walk away.
Gotcha.
Like very
100%.
simple. Yeah. Anyways,
100%.
yeah.
You're 100% right, because I am from Goa. I'm Roman Catholic. I love my religion. Be clear, I did not choose my religion. I was born into my religion, but I love my religion, so I didn't choose to learn any other religion. I was poked and when I went to Libya to consider the Muslim religion, and my response was, I like my religion, so I'm not going to change my religion, but until you learn about every religion and you can preach to me that your religion is the best religion in the world and why, please don't ever ask me to change my religion.
Love that.
But choice.
But just one thing to that quickly, one thing to that quickly though is, even if, let's say, I went and I learned every religion, and I think the Catholicism is the best religion, am I still going to come to you and be like, I learned all the religions, Catholicism is the best, so you should be Catholic? Again, my analogy was always teaching the kids the color of the rainbow. I might like red. Red might be my favorite color, and I can learn all the colors and study them intently, but I like red. I still don't think it means that I should come to you and say, I learned the rainbow, red's the best color, you have to like red. Yellow might speak to you, even if I did learn all of them. So I do think education is key, and yes, to definitely learn all the options out there, which is again why I think all different identities should be taught in schools, or at least exposed to, so that kids can at least understand what they might be feeling and be able to have the options out there to understand that's what feels right for me.
100%. And don't get me wrong, I'm never saying like the Catholic religion is the best religion, you need to be the best religion. I guess what I'm saying is, if you go out and study world religions and you because you learned them all, Buddha, Hindu, Catholic, Jewish, all of it, Muslim, come back and I just like to learn.
Yeah,
so
have a discussion.
why do you think that's the best one?
Yeah.
Never to convince me to be that one, but just
Curiosity.
open my mind. So where I was going is choice. Never, ever, ever, ever did I ever think I would marry outside of my religion. Never mind
There you
something
go,
so outside of my religion.
For context,
didn't-
our dad is Muslim. So
I
her
didn't-
husband is Muslim.
I didn't choose to marry a Muslim. You're exactly right. I just fell in love with a Muslim. In fact, I probably would have
chose it.
tried even harder not to
Because it was a harder
marry
path.
out of my religion, because it was a very, very difficult path. But still happily married till today, because we married out of love.
30 years
So,
later.
When you're 100% right. What is choice when you look at it at the end of the day? Especially when you're talking about love. It should be about attraction and the person, nothing else. But more than anything, especially on my first chat with you guys, all I want to say is what resonates that my beautiful children taught me is, if you are not hurting anybody and all you're actually doing is spreading love into the world, how could that be wrong?
Yeah.
I really want to hear the answer to that. How could that be wrong?
Because
If
it's
you're-
going to end the human race.
Give it a break, and we'll talk more about that.
You have a lot to say
But
about that.
if you're a hater, if you're a hater, there's so many other things that are out there that deserve perhaps hate.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, what I would say,
better.
what I would say is, if you're a hater, the only place you need to be looking is within. Because we said this on our post today, a loving person is filled with what?
Love.
A hating person is filled with
That's
Hey,
what they're
hate.
spreading.
And so, to honestly, and it is hurtful hearing some of the comments, seeing some of the things, but to anyone hater, we're at the level now, luckily, because we were filled with love from our beautiful mother, that we just send them love still, because that person is hurting. And even though they're hurting me, I have enough love, I'll be good, but we're sending you love. But I would encourage anyone who is spreading hate, don't look elsewhere to spread that hate, look within.
Yeah.
And just understand why that's the case, and try to surround yourself with people that are going to fill you up with love, and then you'll be at the place where you can spread that as well.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that you said that, because when I was thinking about my first talk, and I'm so honored to be talking to all of you, with you guys, with the best people in my life, is to, what do you do if you don't love yourself? Because I speak to people and I see that out there, and we have love of self and of others. It's easy for us to say, how do you get there? And so I'm a lifelong learner, and I love sharing learning and great tips. And so one thing is, look in the mirror every day, even if you don't believe it, and just say as much as you can to yourself, I love you, I love you, I love you, because you should love yourself. You are beautiful, and I am enough. That's it. Please, please, I beg you, if you don't feel love for yourself, do that.
One other one I'll add on
And
to that.
remember that we love you.
One other word I'll add that helped me, because my mom would tell me to do this a lot, and I did do it growing up, and I still do it. I also added on there, I love you, and I accept you for who you are. Like,
That's
acceptance
I
of
am
yourself.
enough.
I am enough. It's a different way of
it's a
saying it.
different
I'm
way.
enough.
But you're
I
right,
accept you. I think for me, hearing the word acceptance was stronger for me than I'm enough. And so,
say it
but
the
different
way that
it
means
makes
the
sense.
best to you,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
are enough.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, just on that topic, because I personally haven't done that, but I've heard us just talk about it, and I know you've done that. What have you felt like, because some people can hear this thing and say, oh, does that really work or
You
whatever?
mean affirmations? in the
Yeah,
mirror?
affirmations in the mirror. Did that help you? Like, what did you feel doing that?
I would say, like, honestly speaking, I was probably a little inconsistent with it. There would be periods of time where I would do it, and one fun one I did when I was like a teenager, I remember it was like, I don't even remember why, but I would say, like, I'm so funny. I just would say in the shower, I'm so funny, I'm so funny. I don't even know why, or like, everyone loves me, because you just want to be accepted when you're younger, and in general, we all want acceptance. And I remember after like 2 or 3 weeks of doing that consistently, I felt a difference. Like, I felt like there were so many people that were laughing at my jokes, and they loved me, and I just felt a palpable difference on that level.
Okay.
The love and acceptance of self, I think there's other aspects that helped me to get there too, but that was a big piece as well. Is I still do it every day now, and like the part that I would add on now that's even more helpful for me is when I do it, I pause and I listen and I feel what happens in my body when I do that. And at the beginning, a lot of you might feel like there's a bit of that voice that says like, no, you don't, or like, why? What? No, you're like, there's something
There
that
is
feels,
that other voice.
There's something that feels like maybe that doesn't feel right to say it to yourself. That's a reason to keep going even more.
I love that.
I love that. There's actually a book way back called Self-Talk. And what it says is, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. And thank you so much for reminding me, Emmy. Say it as though you do believe it, even if you don't, because like Anne proved, and I've proved myself, not on love of self, on other things, repeating that and believing that about yourself makes it happen.
Yeah. And so all to say, to answer your question in general, it helps.
It helps.
It 100% helps. 10 out of
Try
10.
it, please.
10 out of 10 would
it.
recommend, because one thing just to quickly say, like, we share like helpful things to help support yourself, and one big one is finding a community that supports you and people around you that support you. But sometimes, and you've got us always, but sometimes it's not even easy enough to do that in where you live. If you live somewhere where there's no one that's supporting you, you do have to rely on yourself. And that's a perfect tool to help that every day that will help you in some way.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I just want to say one thing that I've done, because I wanted to ask, because I haven't done that. So like, you could speak to that to say, you know, if there is anyone who's struggling to love themselves, and I think that's where it all starts. Things that you could just do, since we talked about it. I just want to share mine quickly, because I didn't do the mirror talk one, but when we, and this is why this is our whole message, I truly think once you are being your true, authentic self, that is where happiness lies, because we talked to 2 experiences, and I'll just say it quickly. When we were in dresses, when we were in heels, when we were in everything, I felt like I was an imposter. I felt like I wasn't being, I knew I wasn't being who I truly was. And I was awkward. I didn't love myself because I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I was trying to please other people. So the mirror talk, definitely one thing to do. But again, in line with our message, if there's something that's going to make you happy, that's not harming anyone else,
do it. If it's
some examples.
Yes,
Like
wearing.
I'm trying to.
If it's wearing a certain item of clothing.
Yeah.
If it's having your hair a certain way, if it's eating a certain food, if it's doing a certain activity, maybe you wanted to get into archery and that's going to make you happy, go do it. If there's anything that you could think of in that moment, in this moment, that's going to make you happy without harming anyone else or yourself, go do it. Do not care what other people think. And I think maybe there is something, maybe not, but with self-expression, I think that's why, fashion is so big, or just any way you want to express yourself, that's the easiest place to start.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it. And if that's going to make you feel good about yourself, if you like purple, but you haven't been wearing purple because your family doesn't like purple, go ahead and wear purple. Again, as long as it's not harming anyone.
Well, and as long as it's safe to do so.
As long as it's safe to do so.
I was just going to say, as long as it's safe to do so, because what that brings back to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is when you guys came out and told me about yourselves, and knowing the family that we live in, and all with your father, my words to you were always, be successful, be able to support yourself, go out, get your own place, and no one can touch anything that you do because you get to choose.
Correct or not.
And the very beautiful thing about that is that's exactly what you did.
Yeah,
it was motivating. My heart.
It is exactly what we did,
heart.
but again, because maybe because we actually had some people saying, if you're in high school right now, and if you're living with your parents and they don't let you dress the way you want, express yourself the way you want, or anything, of course, do everything you can when you're at the point to get your independence so you could fully be yourself. But there's still little things that you could do, because sometimes when I would just go out with my friends and I know maybe I'd come home and you guys would be sleeping or something, like I could just wear something that I want to wear or do something. So if you are able to at any point, just do the things that are going to make you happy, as long as it's not going to cause you harm, cause anyone else harm. So those are just some little tidbits to help with self-love. But it's a journey, because everyone has their insecurities, everyone has their good days, their bad days.
And at the end of the day, be patient.
Yeah.
Be patient with yourself.
And kind on yourself.
And kind to yourself. And just know that it gets better throughout life, even if now you can't see a way where you can do any of the things we shared. Time passes and things change, and have hope. Just always have hope that things will get better, and they do, honestly.
You are normal, you're beautiful, you're loved, and the way that I can say that with truth and belief is look and look. So beautiful, so successful, so normal. I'm so welling with pride, and for someone who's sound and knowledgeable and just understands, that's how everybody should feel about every single one of you. And if they don't, we don't. We do.
I love that, Mama.
Beautiful, Mama.
You are so sweet.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's maybe just dive a bit back into the journey. We probably won't finish this, so we're probably gonna have to do a part 2 because we're already racking up on time. But so then the day that we came out, so that was a pretty intense day. For context, we came out to our wonderful cousins first. Beautiful. We would love to have them on the podcast. They loved and accepted us for us. They encouraged us to tell their parents, your brother and his wife, our uncle and aunt. So we came out to them, loved and accepted us. Most beautiful.
We'll do a separate episode on the details of that with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then our uncle, her brother, said, I encourage you guys to tell your mom, because he knew how much you loved us. And he said, the only thing I think that might hurt her more is if she hears this from someone else.
Yeah.
And so that's
Is that true?
us.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So in that regard, it was.
I almost feel like you didn't love me enough to tell me.
Oh.
Okay. Well, Uncle Lou, thank you.
Thanks. Uncle. Yeah.
And so what they said, because we were still fairly young. I was in second year, third year university.
Something like
we
that.
were maybe in our 20s, but they said, we'll have you guys over for dinner if you want, so that we had a support system. And they said, we'll invite your mom over, and then you guys can go in your own room or whatever, have a talk. So I remember that day we invited you over, and we were shaking in our boots. We were terrified.
But I feel like from our experience, so was she. She
No.
was panicked.
I was just painting it before she even came over.
Oh, yeah.
And then I remember she walked through the door, and we were probably acting weird, and because we know what was happening. And then at a certain point, I don't think you walked too much into the house. We're like, Mom, do you want to go downstairs for a sec? And then I just saw your face, like the happiness. You're just like what?
What were you thinking
so
in that
when
moment?
I was coming, I thought it was great news. so
a
I
dinner?
was like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, life is great. Life is good. And so I...
Oh,
showed
what did
up.
they say? Because we don't even know. What do you mean great news? They said they have something to
They
tell you?
just come over and the girls are here and yeah, I think it was, I don't remember a lot of the detail, but just like sitting down and something, it could be good, it could be bad, I'm not sure, but it hit me. Never would I imagine it would have been that.
Yeah. I remember, and you can
Yeah,
say
I
we're right or
remember.
wrong, that you said you thought one of us was pregnant.
Oh, I don't remember.
I didn't remember that.
You
I
said
know
that.
I actually would never ever believe that would happen.
Oh,
So
that's
I
what
never
you told me at
thought-
one point.
no.
But so we're going downstairs. You have no idea what's gonna happen, and then we sat you down. And then at the time, both Em and I had girlfriends, and so I think that I probably blacked out most of it. But I remember saying we have something to tell you. Em and I are both dating someone, and they're girls.
Actually, so isn't that interesting?
How do you
My
remember?
recollection of what happened.
I
is-
remember it different too.
There's three stories, and then there's the truth.
No, I think mine's gonna be hers.
My recollection is, sit down, we have something to tell you, and I'm ready, and I'm looking, and Noe says something like, I like girls. And so I was, or maybe she said I'm gay, I'm not sure, but I think she said I like girls. So I was just like, oh, okay. Trying to process, and I always know don't freak out, because as a parent, no matter what, I would always say to them, remind me, don't freak out about what I'm going to tell you, to prepare yourself. But she didn't tell me that time.
Yeah.
So then
you should have known, Mom.
I was like, okay, and I'm trying to process, and then Am pops up and says, me too. And I was just like,
Yeah, it's a lot.
what? What? And I think I just sat there in shock. I don't think I said anything.
I remember
I just sat
you
in
were-
shock
I
the
remember
whole
that
time.
part. I remember that.
I remember we were starting to cry because we were just holding this emotion.
I think I
And
cried.
no-
She cried. No, she did cry.
You in my recollection, you had like a stone cold like shock look on your
Yes.
face that I've never actually seen in my entire life. Like it's great in my head because I had never seen you elicit this emotion since knowing you, and then I saw a whole different look in your face, and it was shock. Like you just sat there like a stone, and me and Noah, you're like looking at you, waiting for you to say something, and then we started crying like we didn't choose this. We're sorry.
I
like,
do remember
all
that.
this
You're
stuff.
right.
And then it was just kind of like you needed.
She
time
just
to
said,
process.
she just said, she cried when we got home.
But you
'Cause
did,
Well,
Well, you
cried
did
on
say-
the whole car ride
But
home.
you did.
I didn't bring you guys.
No, you went home
with
by
me.
yourself.
I got in the car and
But
just
before you
was
got in the
like,
car-
what just happened?
Before we got in the car, you did say at some point in the basement, "I love you guys no matter what.
Yeah.
I need to," something like along the lines of, "I need to like process this. This is a lot." And I remember this is the only time I never saw you emotional at that point. You were just like a stone, and you were like, "I love you guys no matter." You wanted us to know that you love us, and that was beautiful, and that was very impactful for
Thank
us.
you, God.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
but
remember.
of course you would say that. Like you're that's who you are.
Yeah.
And then afterwards you had your reaction, I guess.
Yeah.
That we didn't see. So you bawled in the ride home?
I cried all the way home, just like, oh my God. I thank you, God, I can put it into perspective now, because it makes you feel terrible as a parent to not react the best way possible.
No.
So I do believe, I hope I did
You did say
I love
that,
you, because
100%.
that never will change, no matter what,
No,
ever.
you did.
But it was just
You're not prepared
every
for that.
dream out the door. But I'm not even thinking that every dream out the door. I'm just thinking, is this my life? Like, I can't really believe that.
Yeah.
Just because I never for 1 second thought that this could happen. So I say back, because I've told I've told a number of people in my life, and the majority have wholeheartedly embraced and been very good about it. There are a handful that let me know, I don't support it, I don't believe it, but I love you and I love your kids. So on that account, that's where I stand, which is pretty much your dad. I love you and I love all of us, but I don't support it. That's where I stand. And so where they've come along is my saying, how do you know this is not your life? How do you know that? Because many people hide it and pretend to make their family happy. If you have someone not happy in your household that is miserable, that is negative, that is lashing out, and even those that aren't, you don't know.
Yeah.
this is normal. This is normal. Let's make it normal and let's let the world be a better place.
I love that.
Come on. You can do it.
Your mama, oh my god, I
think
wow.
that's a beautiful note to
Yeah.
wrap it up. Like,
Okay, well, yeah, actually, you know what? Because
Yeah.
time's ticking and the phone might die.
and also, yeah.
well, we're
go
gonna
ahead.
do the second thing, but we're gonna be doing a part 2 because
Well, I just want to say really quickly because I wanted to say at the beginning too. We're actually what we're doing and what we're heading off to in the timeline too. Like
Yeah.
we're dressed to impress, as you can tell.
Oh,
and
yeah?
Mommy's in her beautiful best. Moms in her beautiful best. Anyways, so we're heading to a VIP boat cruise. It's a like gambling event that's going on for some brand. So anyways, I just want to share that. That's what we're heading off to after this, and we're so excited to do that, and we're dressed in our
best. Okay, so one thing that we're gonna do, a fun thing that I think we're gonna try to do on every podcast now, because Mom joined our live, she's gonna be joining our live right after this, and there's a bunch of haters, and obviously all of you see how we
More
respond.
love.
There's
more love.
so much love.
we definitely. That's a good point.
Thank you for your love.
We always gotta shout out the lovers.
The ratio is
You guys or who we
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
love and care
yeah.
about. When we highlight the haters and we talk about them, that's just to spread education. But
an
we
educational
see you,
moment,
we love you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
I'd say it's like 99% beautiful lovers, beautiful butterflies, our
Beautiful
kaleidoscope.
butterflies.
But
We need to do both.
yeah.
Spread a love message.
we- you know what,
and
actually?
Both.
girl,
each.
okay, well, one of us reads one finds the other.
A comment reply?
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna do
just-
it now?
we
Why
should
don't we save that for part 2?
Oh,
we
I
said
was
a
gonna
lot.
say in everyone. Okay, you know what? Actually,
Everyone.
yeah, and everyone.
Okay, if you're ready to do it, yeah. go for
Because
it.
I have one. Do you have?
Girl, my phone's.
Oh, your
My
phone is
phone's
there.
being there.
Yeah. Okay, so we're always gonna start with the love conquers, or should we end with the love?
We should end with the love.
Actually, okay, we're gonna start with the end because it's always. We're gonna start with the love comment because it's always good.
No,
to
I said
end.
end with the love.
And with the love.
Oh my god. Okay. So one cool thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna start to do it in each of the podcasts. We're always gonna highlight one beautiful comment of one of our kaleidoscope members.
But kaleidoscope butterflies.
One of our beautiful butterflies. And then we're just going to highlight a cocoon.
Someone who hasn't learned yet.
Someone who has not broken out of their cocoon
Someone
yet.
who is still living in the cocoon.
Someone who has not metamorphosized.
We're gonna highlight a butterfly. We're gonna highlight a cocooner.
That's actually
Okay. And then we're gonna see Mom's reaction.
Wait, girl, that's good.
It is good. Okay, well I'll save that one. So
let's
starting with
start
the cocoon.
That's
Prepare yourself, Mom. You ready? Okay. So this is Guru Gang. Instagram should ban people suffering from mental illness to post reels or any type of post which are glorifying these mental illnesses. Instagram should start from you by banning you. Sounds like a cocooner to me.
Just a second. Who has a mental illness? Not them. It must be you.
Period.
And ban people who have mental illness. Do you know some Olympic athletes have come out and said they have mental illness? Lots of people have mental illness. They're very beautiful people. No one should be banned just because they have mental illness.
my
Be
goodness.
real.
Yeah.
And start with banning them. There are millions of people who love them. How many people love you? Maybe we should start with banning you, except that we don't believe in banning anyone. So all we do is have love for you. Lucky you. But anyway, that's so sad that you feel that way. We're wishing you a metamorphosis journey.
Mic
Couldn't have said any
drop
better.
from the queen butterfly herself. Oh
true.
my
Mom,
god.
that's so
It's
true.
true.
Oh my god, Mama the Monarch.
Mom, that was beautiful.
That was beautiful, Mom. Okay, and on to the beautiful butterfly. This is Yanni1970. I've been following you for a few months. I just want to say I think it's really cool how you were taking the time to speak and try to educate some of the more ignorant, not meant to be an insult. We don't take that at all. And even outright hateful comments on how to be a good human in such a patient and respectful way. You two are such beautiful souls, and I'm so glad I stumbled across your posts. What do you have to say to Yanni1970?
We are so happy to meet you. So happy to have you as part of our family. And please continue spreading your love and joy in the world and know how beautiful and loved you are.
Love you, Annie. Thank you
Love
for the
you.
love.
We're happy we stumbled across you.
Yeah, we're happy you stumbled across us and we get to connect. Okay, we're gonna be doing part 2 because we barely even scratched the surface.
Understandably so. There's
Understandably
30 plus years here.
Yeah, Mama G's gonna be a recurring guest on the podcast. We're gonna have
Definitely.
so much to share your beautiful insight, wisdom, and love. I think we say it all the time, but the reason Em and I are the way we are, the reason why, even like Annie said, we're able to educate in such a patient, loving way, is because you gave us the best gift of all, unconditional love. And that is the whole reason we are the people we are today. So we love you. And
So
how did you
grateful
feel for your first episode? How did that feel?
Well, this is how this let me celebrate. 1,
2,
2, 3.
3.
Wow! Amazing.
Wrapping up episode number 1.
There's so much more to dive into. We have a whole history together, and we're gonna also make a part 2, part 3, part 4 continuing of. The second one is talking about what happened after we came out to you and how we got to where we are now, and there's a lot in between that kind of transpired. But one other thing is, if you have questions, if you have things you want to have Mama G answer, leave them in the comments. So just comment any questions you have, and we'll make sure to address them in our next episode as well.
With that, thank you for tuning into the 3rd episode of the Metamorphosis podcast with Em, Noe, and Mama G.
Be yourself.
Do what makes you happy.
Spread love.
And morph into the real you. Woo! Thank you so much. I'll do one quick. It's gonna be great.
I'm gonna just stop it. She's not gonna get paid. She better not get paid.
Anyways, I know even if she does, she gets